So obviously, a couple of the seniors here, like the super seniors, the 6-year guys. I think most of the COVID guys are going to be done now. But what that core that's been with you, that I think Nolan, Dejan, and Trevor, and maybe a couple of guys, what has that group meant to you, particularly here this year?
I mean, we'd be here forever, and not just that core guys in the 25 team. There's a ton that left after the 24 season. I mean, I can't imagine what their journey was like in their footsteps coming off a senior year into a freshman year of football. 3 separate practices because you had number limits, so it was offense, defense, and then rookies. Just based on numbers. I mean, coaches were out there for 4.5 hours at a time, hour and a half at a clip. I mean, we tried to do what we could do with the ever-changing rules and protocols and procedures. I mean, meetings, 80% of the meetings were dominated non-football-wise because they were all updates or what we could do or what we might be doing. I can't imagine what it was like. I mean, it's all a blur. Probably for us coaches more so than it was players because they had a lot more downtime. We're still, I guess, air quote, working. So probably would have been beneficial to ask those guys, what is it like to be a freshman with, only 300 people on campus? I mean, meetings in the gym, meetings outside because there's no airflow in the gym. I just did what we had to do. So they kind of found out, I wouldn't say the hard way, the only way we knew how to do it with the resources we had and the policies put in place. But, would have never probably guessed after that fall with those guys embarking on their journey that, we've had conversations, you can be done, you don't have to be done, are you going to be done? So last year we had some 4th-year guys, some 5th-year guys, some 6th-year guys, and even some 7th-year guys. I mean, it was kind of a little bit of everything, and now we're past kind of the stage after this fall of the COVID, fall 2020 kids. Now you're kind of back to the 4th and 5th-year guys as a base, and maybe a med red at a time. But just the journey that all three of those guys have gone through. Injuries have laced all 3 of those guys throughout their careers. They all started in the same fall, and they all ended in the same fall. Those 3 guys with a ton of probably memories, good, bad, and different. But like Dejan said, just being forced to meet your teammates in a different fashion that first fall. I mean, 22 hours of the day, you're doing nothing but online school and whatever else you so choose within a number of 9 or less people. And then the next week it was 5 or less, and then it was just. So I can't even imagine what that was like, being 18 years old, going away from home, getting excited to leave for college. But it was a different set of circumstances that we were accustomed to. So they've given us all they've had, and then some. Respect the hell out of all 3 of those guys. Anybody that's ended their journey here, I have a ton of respect for, and started being an offensive line coach. Any guy that ended their eligibility here, they got hung up on my wall. I stare at them every day, and they're in my office now. I know what they've gone through from my perspective. When I coach those guys, I coach those guys hard. I expect a ton. The standard's high. So what better way to kind of pay my respects to those guys that they're on my wall, to be able to look at those guys day in and day out. And so I'd love to be able to put every guy up there, but you're talking 20 to 25 a year. But it's just a simple reminder that, in a sense, they put up with you, you put up with them, and we put up with each other. And it's not all good, it's not all bad. There's a lot of everything. That's what families are made of. We just happen to be a football family. They chose this place for a reason, and they have their own reasons as to why they chose here. We didn't force them to come here. So we try to remind those guys to go back as to when they were giddy about the opportunity to go to college and what were the reasons and the purposes. And I tell you one thing, no matter where you go, whether it's COVID or not, you really find out how much you love football when you go to college, because it's a different animal than high school. Every recruit hears it out of my voice. Everybody thinks they love football in high school. It's really, really easy in high school because usually they're the most talented. And all of a sudden now you're put in to a locker room with a lot of talented players. That can play some mind games in between your ears as to how much you love it, how much you're dedicating to it, how good you really want to be at it. And then you see the seniors that are been coached for 5 years, and you wonder why the discrepancy of you and them, and it's like, well, they were freshmen once too. So it's almost kind of just press pause, and then press play when you need to. But run as fast as you want, but don't stop running. And they haven't done that. Those guys have chased everything, and there's been some highs, like Nolan said, in 2021, where some of the highs were they got a taste of the playoffs and a ton of success. Played, arguably with one of the best players ever, not arguably, one of the best players ever in Eastern Washington University history. And so there's a lot to take away from it, not just the wins and losses, because the relationships are what you're going to take away from here, as we all know, for the next 40 or 50 years.
What is Nate Bell's status for this game? Do you anticipate him playing, or is this Jake again?
The heavy lean is probably Jake. Again, Nate's not going to practice early in the week, but the chances are is the only chance Nate's probably got to play is probably the last game, if that's even a possibility. So we'll recircle back next week and look at that. But again, not wanting to put anybody in harm's way if he's not 100% cleared medically, and right now it doesn't look very optimistic as far as him playing the seniors' last game on the road.
Is Jared cleared yet?
Jared unfortunately has made the tough decision. We talked about a week ago about stepping away from football due to just not feeling like he's 100%, and so he's battling. He's with his teammates. He's very communicative. It's hard as an understatement. He's one of the most competitive people I've ever been around in my life, and so it was a discussion we had, and kind of came to grips with it's best for him in the future to walk away from the game he so loves, and that's hard to say. So it's the best thing. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's the right thing, even coming from as competitive kid as he is.
And then last one for me is just very X's and O's, but it looked like you ever throw the ball and you can run the ball a little bit more. Is that the hope, to be able to open up the running game a little bit by just having more downfield passing effort you got against Montana?
Well, I mean, trying to attack some of the deficiencies we saw in film. We were going to attack the seams, which we did a fair amount. They played a different style of defense, so it was going to be a different style of play by us. We needed to run the ball enough to keep them honest, to not throw it 75 times a game, and put ourselves in that situation. So I think we did a good enough job. I mean, minus the sacks, I mean, we're probably sitting about 110, 120 yards, which isn't great, but it's good enough to be able to give us a chance, even with those sacks, being 5 yards away with an opportunity. There's a great game plan. I think there's just a different energy, knowing that we had not the first series, but the second series and beyond some success in the air. So I think energy is contagious. All of a sudden, the ball does find energy. That was one of the receiver coaches' kind of mantras, a couple of years ago. The ball will find energy. So the more energy we have, the ball will find you more. And Jake stayed composed. He's so unassuming as a person, as a player. Stayed very composed, and that's kind of who he is as a person outside of the helmet as well. And I think success breeds success. So all of a sudden you had a little bit, and had a little bit more, and kind of feeling ourselves a little bit. And before you know it, momentum's real in sport. And we created a little bit of momentum after being down 22-0. And a lot of the credit goes to that receiver room and the quarterback that was throwing on the ball.
What do you remember about your senior day?
I was at Joe Albee, Weber State. They changed their defense up during the week, going from a 4-man front to a 5-man front. So we chaotically try to piece together a game plan to attack them. Both sets of parents there. It's an emotional day. And I say it every year. The day I'm not emotional on senior day is probably the last ride for me. Just because you pour so much into these kids. I mean, we're around these kids more than we're around our own kids. I'll say that over and over and over. Not for attaboys or that's what you should do. That's a profession we chose. It didn't choose us. We chose it. We're surrounded by supportive human beings and our families, and they recognize that. But we pour into these kids, and we remember what it was like to strap it up for the last time. And there was no professional future for me, so you knew it was absolutely the last time. You were going to, play in pads and do it the right way, and they were going to keep score. And everything's got to come to an end. And as it gets closer, it gets more real. But when you know it's done and you know there's not a carrot dangling in the future, that you're chasing a professional dream, it's a little bit easier to know that you're going to walk into a non-NFL situation that the real world's calling before a lot of other people get opportunities to do what you weren't athletically inclined to do. So, but very special moments playing on a old school set of turf. A lot of different rules back then. It was fun, and if I remember right, we won the game. So, but it was kind of a blur. That was how memorable that was, and I was a true senior, so it was a little bit different. The guys that I came in with actually graduated in 2000 after I did, so it was kind of a mixed emotion. But then I got to come back with those guys being a student assistant, finishing up my degree, coaching, or attempting to try to coach, helping out the offensive line coach, trying to secure my teaching certificate. So it was knowing that I was coming back to finish was a little bit of a plus.
You've had, not a pleasure, but now you've had a senior day as a parent. Has that like changed your perspective?
You know, I selfishly I try not to regret a ton of things in life, and I'm not going to regret this one, but I got to pit my stomach still from last Friday, not seeing my son's last football game in high school. I got to see him walk in senior day. That was a big deal when we went to Weber this year. Like I said, I was blessed by our director of athletics, Tim, allowing me to stay behind and fly in the next morning. That was about as special moment as I could have. Top 10 for sure, by far. But that hurt watching it on my phone in the hotel on the verge of a huge game for us the next day, and like we spoke right before this, I mean, to have within about a 16-hour window, the two best boys lose on the last play of the game, hurts even that much more. But I look at it on the flip side, they were memorable as hell at the end of the day, even though the pit in the stomach kept you up till about 3 a.m. Thinking about the kid. But he had a mom squeeze him, his sister's there, so he probably had the three people he wanted there most there anyway. But all things got to come to an end, good, bad, and different. And we got to stare the next chapter down, and if it means writing it, great. If it's scripted for you, follow it or tweak it. But it's what we do as parents and coaches. You see the next class. Does it get easier? It actually probably gets harder, but that means you care more.
Obviously, Jake had a great game, but his reaction after that final play, I think, kind of said it all. What do you say to a young quarterback in a situation like that, and how do you work to kind of build his confidence back up after something like that happens?
Yeah, I don't. You can't focus on one play like we talked about post game. I mean, if we microcosm the last play, you're going to run that reel over and over and over and over. There's a lot of things that happened before then. Missed a field goal, a free tip pick in the red zone, a long punt return early in the game. I mean, try to deflect kind of some of that thought process into to other areas. We're on this together. I actually go the opposite route. I usually give guys space a little bit because I know everybody then pounces and says, hey, it's okay, it's all right. I usually go the opposite of what most people do and let guys breathe, take a step back. And so we had a couple moments after he spoke to the media post-game. And I think those are more special when it's not in a public arena a little bit, that there's not grandstanding, there's not cameras following you. It's just Jake and what he calls me Coach Best or whatever else. I mean, it was just a serene moment, a simple moment, but maybe more of an emphatic moment than putting my arm around him after the game, because he's got enough arms around him. Let the emotions die a little bit. They're never going to die totally, because he's always, at some point, he's going to tell his sons and daughters and grandchildren about those moments. But boy, I mean, I hope one of the grandchildren say, well, at least, Pa, you got to that point, and hopefully he reflects back and goes, hell yeah, I mean, that's the best way to look at it. But we'll never know. It would have been fun, good, better, and different, that last play, to see what could have come about. But it's unfortunate. It's one of one. I don't know if that's happened, but maybe 5 times ever in the history of college football, and we just happen to be on the 1 of 5 side of things. But he's a hell of a kid. He'll bounce back. He's devout in his faith. He's a very grounded individual. Been coached by his dad and dad by his coach, if you really want to look at it that way. So he'll bounce back. It'll sting, but if it stings, it means it matters, and it'll be probably the most memorable first start in probably anybody's quarterback career here at Eastern.
Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.